Well, gentlemen, it appears that there is a new racket in town. Or should I call it a business model? It is, after all, more of a business model. This business model is called divorce funding. And what this involves is a company that invests in a participant in divorce. This is not a loan, it's an investment. And this investment is made for the distinct potentiality of reaping profits at the end, meaning when the alimony payments are made, when the settlement in particular is made, this is why this investment is made in divorce funding. So basically, the divorce funding firm or company invests in a particular person's legal fees in order to get a cut of the profit of the settlement as well as possibly alimony. Now, I think it shouldn't be a surprise to which sex, to which gender this is directed. It shouldn't be a surprise because we know who initiates the vast majority of divorces. And indeed, one of the major articles I found on this was written by one Jeff Landers of Forbes earlier this year, who, in his introduction as a contributor, says, "I write for women going through financially complex divorces." Divorce is difficult on countless levels. Even under the best of circumstances, it represents the end of a once loving relationship, the division of assets, and the physical and emotional upheaval of profound change, and potentially tremendous financial costs. Of course, it gets a lot better than that. It's not just about that. There's no way around it. Today's financially complex divorces can be staggeringly expensive. Attorneys can cost hundreds of dollars per hour and require substantial retainers up front. And then you have to add on fees for financial advisors, forensic accountants, vocational and valuation experts, and other professionals whose expertise you may require in pursuit of a fair settlement. My regular readers know that I strongly urge women to maintain financial independence in their marriages. Indeed, I think it's a good idea to set money aside in a secret fund in case you divorce. But what if divorces come upon you and you don't have such a fund? Or if you set money aside, but it's not nearly enough, you'd be far from alone in that situation. It's still most often the husband who's the moneyed spouse and the wife who is financially dependent, sometimes even entirely without income of her own. Poor darling. Even asset-rich women can be caught short on cash when it comes to hiring a professional divorce team. Fortunately, this doesn't mean you can't hire the team you need. A new business niche has emerged to provide financing for divorcing women. He says for divorcing women, notice not men, without the immediate means to fund the legal battle. This levels the playing field significantly against the well-known tactics of wealthy husbands to simply drag on divorce proceedings, driving up costs until their wives run out of money and are forced to concede. With independent financing, these women are able to get settlements they otherwise would not have been able to attain. Well, I think it says it all. This entire new business niche is directed to women, and it's fascinating. One of the first ones, and there'll be a link to all these things I'm talking about, as usual, called Balance Point Divorce Funding, was started up by a woman, and she says, Stacy Knapp, "I was very fortunate," Knapp says, of her own divorce in 2008. "I came from a family that had resources. I went to law school. I'd been working in debt collection for a while, so I had all the components that you would want to have in a bad situation like this." After a divorce was final, Knapp realized other people weren't as fortunate. She means other women. And she learned that divorce attorneys are barred by law from working for contingency fees. That was really the aha or epiphany moment, she said. In 2009, she formed Balance Point Divorce Funding, a Beverly Hills, California company. Of course, it's got to be in California, right? I hate that state. No offense to Californians. Company that finances the cost of divorce in exchange for a percentage of any settlement. This is not a loan, it's an investment. If there's no award, Knapp not only doesn't make any money, she loses money she invested. All right, well, I've talked enough, or I've read enough off the articles, and this is it's kind of hilarious and depressing at the same time. And one thing this shows you is that how much divorce is a racket, in the sense that it's just about making money. You notice the quote-unquote women's financial advisor in Forbes, he talks about the many kinds of fees that are incurred when you go through a divorce. It's not just legal fees. He talks about accountants and people, forensic accountants specifically, financial advisors, vocational evaluation experts, all these guys that are looking to get a piece of the pie. Divorce is a racket. I mean, in the financial sense, it's a racket, and there's no reason to want to stop it. It's profitable to the government. It's profitable to people who are involved. And here you have people who have established this wonderful business model of investing in divorce so you can get a chunk of the settlement. It's a bit absurd in a sense, but it makes sense. In a capitalist society, people are going to set up businesses for whatever. And it's obvious, both from the fact that this guy is talking about this service being directed to women, not men, and the woman who founded the divorce. I mean, she says other people, and there are probably some men who take advantage of the service, who knows? But almost certainly the vast majority of people, just like the vast majority of people who initiate divorce, are going to be women. They're the ones who are going to take advantage of this. And this doesn't surprise me. I suppose some people might be shocked, probably not MGTOW-minded men, but there are... this just seemed like an inevitability in some sense, that given how profitable divorce is, there probably would be some novel business idea of investing in these places. And I mean, this one firm that was established in 2009, I mean, Beverly Hills, California, you can't get much worse than that, right? I don't have the stats offhand, but I know there's a really high divorce rate in that area. California also has lifelong alimony. It's just, no offense to Californians, but that state is just odious to me in so many ways. But one thing that I've been thinking about in reference to this is this could be, I mean, if more men become aware of this sort of thing, of people actually investing in divorce, this might be one of those trigger things where they actually start thinking, holy shit, you have people, or rather women who are hiring firms to give them money so they can, pay for their legal fees in divorce. I mean, people who aren't even aware, men who aren't even aware of this stuff, such as the abysmal divorce rate. In particular, what's really important to know, how often women initiate divorce, between 70-80% of the time. This is something that could make blue pill men at least a little bit more purple pillish and more aware of the dangers of getting married. I mean, this doesn't need to be repeated, but it does, obviously. Under no circumstances should a rational man get married. There just no circumstances given the situation. If you're going to get married, you are walking into a legal minefield. Yeah, you could come out okay, possibly, but why would you undergo that? I've used all kinds of analogies in the past. The poisonous berries all over the place with a single good berry, or I think John the Other had brought up this minefield thing, and there's just all kinds of situations. It doesn't really matter. The analogies are all illustrative, but yeah, you could come out okay, but why would you? Why would you? You probably could come out okay if you walked into a nest of Japanese giant hornets, which would easily kill you. They're some of the most dangerous insects in the world. But why would you take that risk? And this could be a good sign to show men just how dangerous marriage is, because it's quite explicit, particularly in the Forbes article. This is a service directed to women, not to men. No doubt the odd man might take advantage of this, but most of the people who are going to be doing this, just as most of the people who initiate divorce, are women. So this could be the big wake-up call. It could be, if this business model gets really big. And I don't know how big it is. I don't know what the stats are off the top of my head. I might do a follow-up video on it. But I can see the potential. Divorce is ongoing. It's pretty much stable rates of women initiating most of the divorces. Marriage is an unstable institution. Well, if that continues, then there's a market for this business model. And if there's a market for this business model, it could potentially grow. So at the very least, it wouldn't stagnate, disappear, and go bankrupt, the business setup. So I'm bringing this to your attention. All you guys know, my subs, the vast majority of you MGTOW, some of you aren't. There are even a few women here and there. But don't get married. Don't get married. If you thought the stars were aligned against you because of the biased government-sponsored divorce courts, our natural gynocentric tendencies to favor mothers over fathers, and generally speaking, women over men in such situations, if you thought that was really, really bad, well, think again. It gets worse, right? Firms that are basically handing money over to women so they can get a cut of their fucking settlements. So we're safe from this. We who are wise and smart enough not to get married, but there's still a lot of men out there who are just blue-pilled, rose-tinted glasses. They don't know. And oftentimes they are accompanied by this sort of the one mentality. I found the one, or I made a smart choice. Oh, she would never do this to me, etc. Well, whether she may or may not, the risks are very, very real, and the state is always on our side. And now business companies and investment firms are on our side too. Why would you ever get married? So this is something, if you guys can do me a favor, not for my own popularity, but share the video, share the articles in particular with men you know, blue pill men. This is something that needs to be known. And I don't know the existence of these firms outside of the United States, but you got to reckon, you got to figure, if this is a successful business model in the States, it'll probably expand to places like the UK, Australia, basically all the Anglophone, Anglo-Saxon countries. I have no doubt of that. So yeah, the new business model, racket, whatever you want to call it, divorce funding. I don't know how their slogans go. Don't worry, women, we'll invest in your divorce for a small share of your settlement, and possibly your alimony as well, because we're there for you. Some shit like that. Who knows? Never ceases to surprise, does it, gentlemen? Anyway, take care, and I'll be talking to you soon, probably with a nutrition-related video. Probably. Bye-bye.